Good afternoon, Scott Redler, T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap. So it's Thursday of a friggin' long week. You know, in December, I think the weeks get longer because everyone has their Christmas parties and your family has parties and everyone's always out. Everyone wants to meet for a drink and one night rolls into another one, and then people are trying to figure out, when does Santa Claus come for the rally? Is he coming? You know, all the acronyms, if that's the right word. But anyway, today was a tough day, I have to say. Even yesterday was a tough day. The choppy, erratic nature of the past few sessions definitely has a lot of traders spun around. Because you would have thought, you know, after Tuesday's reversal, you know, pressure would be off a little bit. Perhaps you could stay with some strong stocks. And then yesterday, market basically flushed most guys who are in swing trades, like myself, that are very active, out of the market. And then coming in today, I would have, or when I woke up, I was hoping to see the futures down, you know, 10, 15 points, so maybe you could buy those strong stocks back, put in a pivot low. Instead, they opened up the market like 7, 8 handles, and they squeezed every single guy that was short overnight. And, you know, just real quickly, you go to the chart, you know, if you look here, okay, when you see a reversal like this, you're like, okay, you know what, let me take some longs home, right? You broke the 8-day, came back, reclaimed the 21-day. Why not be long, especially if you had good prices, hold the third, and then that happened. Right there, that flushed anyone out of longs, at least in our style. You know, because you're looking here, you see, you know, this uptrend broken, the momentum uptrend, not the full, you know, uptrend, I'm sure, you know, from the V bottom, but just the upper level, which we, you know, tend to trade when you trade for alpha. So, you know, this day got people long, and you know, I went out flat. And, you know, these guys were like, you got to take it out short. You know, you broke the trend. You're below the 8 and 21-day. Red Dog, what's the matter with you? You know, we're going to see the 50-day. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to go out short because, you know, if we're up, I don't want to deal with it. And I'd rather be a buyer perhaps at, you know, the prior breakout, which is right here. Or potentially if we come in and test the 50-day, which at this point I don't think, you know, the market feels as if it did when you had this October break. So I was hoping we would get that. And then all of a sudden, you know, today happened. Okay, and right now, it looks very wishy-washy. You know, you can't even really see what happened today by looking at the daily candle. Like if you were at work and you were, you know, putting out fires or putting bad guys in jail or in the courtroom or in the doctor's office, whatever you do over the course of the day, and you're like, oh, let me see what happened to the market. It was up a little bit today. No. This is what happened. I, you know, what's it called, came out and put a little, you know, chart up. I'm like, you know what? The same way I wanted to put up the chart the other day, like to figure out the retracement rules. I'm like, okay, you know, if you're looking to be short, might as well wait till at least resistance 1 or resistance 2. Okay, if just say you think the H pattern is going to set up. So if you saw the daily chart and said, wow, we're closing the lows, and you didn't go out short, you were probably like, oh, good, we're up 7, 8 handles, you know, I could probably short a bounce. So support, I mean, resistance 1, resistance 2. For me, you know, I wanted to be long, but I was like, you know what, maybe I can make a little bit of money, short first, okay, and then if they happen to fade the market, take us through the lows, set up the RDR for later, I'll be able to take some more size, I'll have a better cushion, and, you know, and then go that way. So, you know, go back to the chart. I did not short resistance 1. I thought I'd be okay shorting resistance 2. And this was the first friggin' bar. Now, one of the rules out there is you never short an igniting bar, because an igniting bar says it's igniting a move, right? It just ignited a move. It took back all of 2 hours of trading in, I think, 5 minutes. So then you had this, this. So on this pause, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a little cute here and get short. Okay? We just went 13 handles. I just wanted to trade, maybe a trade even back to here before going. And then, you know, I think on that is when I'm like, you know, I'm out of this. Okay, and I covered and I lost a little bit of money. But the real thing that irked me was not waiting to do that short. It was that I wanted to be in the stocks that I think are acting well. I wanted to be in Facebook. I wanted to be in Apple. I wanted to be in Baba. You know, then you saw Baidu was up and Amazon was up. All the banks that had a pwn downside move were up. And I'm like, you know, sugar, honey, iced tea. I just lost money short on an up day, and I have a bullish thesis on some of these stocks, but it wasn't my perfect setup. What the hell's the matter with me? I should be in the mountains. I should be climbing the mountain. I should be biking, fishing. It's friggin', what am I doing? So then I pretty much said, okay, let me work my way into some of these charts that I like. Not tier 2 or 3, but tier 1 because the patterns are good and I think they can continue. So I did that in this part. So look at the spiders here. All of a sudden, it petered out a little bit, looked as if you had a small little pull in, okay, holding in here, going sideways, right? And then, let's see, before we get into that, so here, it now looks like, you just absorbed, what was this? The high was put in somewhere around 11, and, and it looked like it was, basically basing above prior resistance, so very healthy. So within this time period, I started buying a little Baba, a little Apple, a little Facebook because I got stopped out of it yesterday. And then had to go to a lunch meeting. And as I'm at the lunch meeting, I also shorted some spiders, so at least I had a little hedge on. I think right around 2:30, I was like, I checked and it was here. So I'm like, wow, I just probably got stopped out of my Apple, my Baba, and my Facebook. And I'm like, at least let me go cover my shorts on the spiders. So it helped. So it doesn't all of a sudden bounce back, and then I get stopped out of my lungs, and I didn't cover my shorts. So come that time period, I covered my spiders, and then I'm like, let me put on a little bit more Apple, Baba, and Facebook, a little less, just in case we bounce back up and it was a fake out. But P.S. this is where it closed, and just on the S&P. I'm going to get to those stocks in a second, and now the jury's still out. The bears made a stand. It's still getting rejected here at resistance. Okay, and obviously the culprit was oil. Oil was up. Those stocks were bouncing. It looked as if maybe all the positives were coming out, right? Oh, more money in the consumer's pocket. That's why retail sales are so high. Let's buy some oil names. Oil, no big deal. And then oil started to fall apart, went below 60, and then psychologically the market's like, holy cow, oil's now below 60. Has a 5 handle, which I did project, big deal, and now once it's in the 5s, maybe it goes to 56, maybe it goes lower, and now all those levels that people talk about, the debt financing and the junk bond market and all those kind of things might start getting louder. So, the market got a little scared, and rightly so. The USO, made another low here, another low below all the moving averages, and you look at how that happened. Looked tight. I think I actually played this little move here on that number, and then it broke again and went below. What was even probably harder for people was the XLE, because the XLE, you look at the daily chart, which is definitely in a downtrend, below the 200-day. People are trying to catch a bottom. When I left, it looked as if, oh my goodness, the XLE is finally going to start bouncing. Let's play it for a bounce. But then, when you do stuff like that, you got to be careful, okay? Because it isn't a broken trend. You had one move, then you had a flag type pattern. So if you missed that first move, like, oh, let me get in over here. Got in over here, you made a move. Then it looked as if it might be consolidating. Wow, this time it's for real. These things are oversold. Everyone's saying they're hedged, blah, blah, blah. And then right here, if you were playing it for more upside, that's where you had to have your stop. Because once it broke this, boom. And then if you're like, okay, now it's, at the other level where it kind of broke out from right around here. So if maybe you bought here and sold strength, you said, I want to buy it back. If you bought it back, it never, it went round trip, baby. So with that being said, not very easy, to say the least. So now you go to some of the stocks that I was trading, with everyone in the community. You had Apple. So you go to the daily chart. We had a nice, really good trade here, right? That was what, Tuesday, lined up perfectly. Then yesterday, looked as if it held higher when the indices went below it. So it was on my potential relative strength list. My list that perhaps it could then break above this 115 and get back in play. And then, this happened. Not the end of the world. Chart still looks okay, but the sellers won again. It got rejected at this trend line. It's below the 8 and 21 days, so that gets me skeptical. I like to be in it when it's above it, like this, not below it, because you never know how low it can go. So at this point, I got stopped out of Apple. We'll see what happens tomorrow. This is your point of reference, and you can't buy any strength there. And you go to the 5-minute chart, to show you how I traded it. I thought I did a good job, because I got stopped out of it yesterday. I missed this first move. I bought it in here. So I'm like, okay, missed the first move. Here's your bull flag. Let me buy it in here. Bought it in there. I think I left It was right around there, so I'm thinking, okay, let me put my stop in here because it shouldn't go below this. I think this is where I put my stop, somewhere right around there. I'm like, okay, I'm giving myself some nice room because I don't want to, you know, I don't want to get stopped out if it goes below this because it could happen. That's 113. It's too tight. Let me give it a little bit more room. And then if you were trading and you were like, okay, then maybe this makes another move. Maybe it breaks this downtrend because that's what that line is. No. So I guess that's when I got stopped out, probably around 2 o'clock. If the VTF was working today, you would have saw it get stopped out. But I guess better here than riding it all the way down to there. So to me, the trade changed, right? It should never really have lost this area. You know, from here to there, maybe it pulls back this, but once it goes below that, that means momentum's just not there. And I wound up closing near the lows of the day, and now I'm flat apple, and it's still being controlled by this downtrend, not like it was when it was above the 8-day. BABA didn't go negative, but did a little bit of the same thing. You know, you see this downtrend, it's defined. And I guess if you try and cheat like me to try and be in there before it happens so I could then have it on my forefront when it happens, you know, you can get hurt if you buy some strength. This was a great trade the same day as Apple when it reversed. Also similar, didn't go back to the weekly low. You know, when the markets did, the Qs went back to that low, and BABA didn't. So I wasn't long it overnight. It was up $1 or so, and I did the same thing. I waited a little bit. You know, I think I got in BABA right around here. I missed the first move, so I'm like, you know what? Market's holding in there. Let me, give it a little bit of the bull flag goes above this. Let me get in it. I could get it in 106, and maybe I'll be buying it again at the downtrend. Had a little cushion in it, and then when I went to leave, the same way, I did with Apple, I'm like, it shouldn't really break this spot. If it breaks this spot, it's not ready, and went a little bit higher. I guess it was looking good, and then boom, I got stopped out. Same time, 2 o'clock. I wasn't trying to be too tight, nickel and diming it. I said if the trade changes and doesn't show commitment to this recent, this flag over here, I'm out. And then didn't close as bad as Apple, but I'm just going to continue to wait. Let this get tighter and let me get some kind of confirmation that it's going to go. This was a great trade down here. It was a great trade when it took out the IPO high, and now it's below the 8 and 21 days, so I'm going to be very careful there just in case it continues. Especially with oil breaking 60, especially the time of year we're in right now where it's a little tough. So that was tough. Facebook held in a little bit better. It's above the 8 and 21 day. It's just not closing at highs, and you have to really have a commitment to it where you either just let it go and let it trade, because if you got rid of it yesterday on the small little RDR, you probably were chasing it back today, kind of like what I did. I was in it yesterday, got stopped out, bought it today, and I don't know. I guess the last 2 days have been very wishy-washy for me because I don't have conviction. I'm not sure if the retracement goes lower. I'm not sure when we start. I don't think we make new highs in the S&Ps, but I want to try and be surgical. And plus, it's been a pretty good year. I don't want to give money back trying to be cute, rubbing 2 shekels together to make some extra cash flow. So I'm being a little bit more tactical, but I guess some people are taking less eyes, giving it more room. So this way they're not worried instead of trying to play the 3 and 5 minute chart. So it depends on what you're doing and depends if it's working for you. Just the last day or two for me has been very wishy-washy. What's gold doing? Gold wound up pushing into the gap a little bit and closed well. What did the TLTs do? Closed strong. So gold and the TLTs are telling you that the market's still a little scared and that we could retrace lower. So if you're trying to be perfect, not so bad to be in cash. Goldman Sachs, pretty funny, right? It had its engulfing day yesterday, and still building its flag. But to me, the jury's kind of out still. You had your pent-up move right here. Now it's trying to flag again. Okay, it's in this little downtrend. So I think with time we'll know which way it's going to go. Right now, TLTs are saying rates are going lower. For the banks, typically they like it when rates are going higher. But so today it felt like you were going to miss something and then you didn't. So there's still some time there. I guess the same thing goes for Bank of America. Still, you're buying any strength up here, you're definitely a little frustrated. If you're in it from when it broke out, you probably don't care too much. But overall, a little wishy-washy up there. Citigroup, what are you doing? Citigroup, look at that. It looked like it was going to go and then close in the lows. Now it's, sellers taking some control by the 21-day. Not as clean as it was here. This was clean. Now it's a round trip. You don't like when you have a round trip breakout failure. Shows you no commitment to it. If this was so good, probably should have broke out, held here if it was going to go again real quick, not come back into the base. So it's showing you that it's, that it's not so sure. Google was strong and then, closed in its base. Amazon, same thing. You're getting these little trades within the 3 to 5 minute chart, but nothing's really working out and it's below all the moving averages, so hard to trust. Same way with Google, hard to trust. At some point, I do still think this breaks above this descending channel, but how it does it could definitely drive you a little batty, but it's still in this descending channel, so I guess until you get a decisive break on big volume, you might as well just, either stay away or lower your time frames, because there's $6, $7 moves in here where you can make money, but it's loose and wide and thin, and those are three things I don't like about a stock usually. G-Pro continues to be weak. This has been, I haven't really traded this in a while. Ever since it failed right around here, it's been on my do not touch list. You had a small little red dog reversal. Where was that? Oh, that was actually here before failing, and now it's below all the moving averages. They're all curling down. So it's not a sit and hold. It's not like when it was here, when you had this really nice breakout after it came public and was only public for 3 months, and then rode the 8-day all the way up and then changed right there. And that's what stocks do. When it's a new issue and it's above the 821 day, it's very exciting and there's shorts in there and it moves quick and you could buy high and sell higher and do it again. But once it changes and slows down, you have to be more meticulous. So with all that said, it's been a long week. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll be trading from short hills. I really hope the VTF is up. I apologize sincerely. It's thrown off my 2 days. I think that's why I'm also a little thrown off, because everyone on Twitter is like, where's the VTF? Why isn't it up? Everyone's asking so many questions. I had someone at my desk trying to put the WebEx up at 9:25 and I couldn't see my screens, and then I'm getting phone calls, and it just shows you how, how focused and prepared you have to be to make money. That little things, if you're not in your environment, you don't have your routine. Guys are like, I feel naked without the VTF, which I guess is good because it's such a good product and vehicle for people to adhere to. But when things change a little bit, it could throw off your trading, and you saw the fine line today. If you shorted the first 45 minutes, you probably got squeezed in, and boom. If you waited and saw the rollover, you probably made money. If you bought the first 15 minutes real fast, and sold the strength, you made money. But if you waited till it based, thinking you were going to be methodical and, and worked your way into prices, all of a sudden, last 2 hours a day, it stopped you out. So it's a little random right now. So when that happens, I just say low gross, low net. Don't put too much at risk. Try and make little moves. There'll be a time when more clarity shows its face and things have a bit more continuity. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.